All right, ring ring. Hello?
Bryce,
Yeah.
Bryce, this is Stephen. I'm getting back to you because you submitted a request for information about the Affordable Life Insurance Program for veterans, and you listed your age as 72. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is.
Perfect. I'm the licensed field underwriter assigned to your request, and my job's simple. It's just to explain the programs that you may potentially qualify for. Bryce, when you filled this request out, were you looking for coverage on just for yourself or your spouse as well?
I don't have a spouse.
Okay, perfect. So what was your biggest concern, Bryce? Who were you looking to protect?
Well, I have two kids.
Oh, fantastic. Are they grown or are they still children?
They're grown. They
They're
have
grown.
kids themselves.
Okay. So, and what's their names?
Why do you need that?
I'm just, I'm going to write them down. They'll probably be the people that I would, that you would trust for me to hand the check to when you die. Is that
Hmm.
correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's their names?
Can we do that later?
Sure. Sure. So like most veterans, Bryce, you want to be certain that the funeral and burial expenses do not fall a burden on your loved ones. Or were you looking to leave some cash behind as well?
Um, yeah, I would say mainly my final expenses. Yeah, for it to be covered for them.
Okay. Well, before we get started, Bryce, I need to give you my name and my uh, license number. So does this phone receive text?
It does.
Okay. And while I'm doing that, why don't you go ahead and grab a pen and paper so I can give you my credentials as well?
Got it. Okay. I got it.
Let me know when you're ready. Okay, great. So I'm required by the state to provide my credentials before discussing your options. So my name is Stephen Della Campa. My state license number is 20061504. And can you read that number back to me, Bryce? I speak kind of fast sometimes.
Yeah, 2061544.
It's okay, 2006. Okay, 1504.
Hmm.
Okay. Anyway, okay, so like most people, Bryce, uh, they inquire for one of three reasons. They either have no coverage, or they're looking for more coverage, or they just want to leave some money behind. What was your reason for filling out this request?
More coverage.
More coverage. Okay. And what do you have now?
Um, I don't know. I think they call it a whole life or something.
Okay. All right. And how much coverage do you have? Do you know?
It's something like 10,000.
And how much more are you looking to get?
Um, I don't know, probably like 100,000.
Okay. Well, what makes you want 100,000 more?
Uh, because I love my kids.
Understood, sir. At your age, $100,000, we can we can probably do that, but put a couple policies in place for that. Have you considered a budget that you are going to set aside for this life insurance?
Well, that's why I fill this out. I want to know how much it costs.
Okay, so the way it works, Bryce, it's not like you can, it's not like buying a loaf of bread. You have to actually qualify for it. So all we can really do is submit an application and see if we can get you approved. So before I can give you any prices, uh, we have to get you qualified. Okay. So I'm
Okay.
going to ask you some questions about your health, and if you can just tell me what you have. Like, do you smoke?
I don't smoke, no.
And do you have any high blood pressure or diabetes?
I do have diabetes.
Okay. And are you on insulin?
No.
Do you know what your A1C is?
I think it's like six or something like that. It's been a while since I've
Okay.
checked.
Is it controlled?
Yeah, it's all under control.
And how long have you had diabetes, sir?
Mm, Probably about 10, 15 years or so now.
Okay. And how about COPD or sleep apnea?
I do have sleep apnea.
You do. Okay. And how about, do you have any cancer or congestive heart failure?
No, thank God.
Yes. How about heart attack or stroke?
I did have a stroke.
And how long ago was that?
Um, what's this year? 2025. It was in 2019.
Okay. And have you had more than one?
No.
And what is the outcome of the stroke? Are you on medication or is it
Um, no, I take like a lisinopril or something, but I think that's for like some blood pressure as well. I didn't get anything different after the stroke.
okay? And then how about any medications that maybe you've been prescribed over the last 5 years, but you're not taking?
Well, they try to tell me that I have like cholesterol, but I don't believe them. So I think I've been prescribed something for cholesterol,
Do you know what that is?
some sort of
Like a
statin.
statin?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And do you have any stents in place or anything?
No.
Okay. So what we're going to do today, Bryce, is we'll put in an application and see if we can get you approved. And if we can, then we will go forward from there. Uh, they're going to require your social. That's the way they check your medical information bureau for your medical background. And then how's your driving record? Do you have any felonies or anything like that?
Not anytime recently.
Okay. How long ago was the last one?
I don't have any, I don't
Oh, okay.
felonies, but driving stuff when I was young.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do. Okay. And if we get you approved, do you use a bank or a credit union to pay your monthly premiums?
A bank.
Okay, fantastic. And what bank is that, Bryce?
Navy Federal.
Oh, great. Well, we partner with Navy Federal. Um, and so we'll go ahead and put in your information here. What's your height and weight?
6'1", 190.
Okay. And how about your email? We're just going into the application now. Is that what we're doing, Bryce? Or you just wanting to keep going?
I mean, you tell me whatever you do with this
Okay.
with this client.
Okay. So, Bryce, what's your social?
Why do you need that right now?
Because the insurance company needs it to make sure you're healthy enough for the coverage, and that they're insuring the correct person.
Okay. Again, I want to know how much it costs before I give any sort of information away like that.
That's excellent. So every situation is different, Bryce, and it's not like buying a loaf of bread. So I'm not a quote guy. A quote would not do your family any service because that does not give you any coverage. We need to get you qualified and approved, and then we can get you the proper rate that you would actually apply to you based on your situation, what you told me with the diabetes and that. Your rate would differ from anybody else's, right? So there's no two alike, and that's why they use your social to check your medical information bureau, and then they can determine what you qualify for. They'll tell us how much you qualify for and how much it will cost. Does that make sense?
Sure. Okay.
Okay, so what's your social?
Um, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay, great. And got your email here. Your email is bryce@gmail.com, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so we're going to submit this, get you you're going to get a 6-digit code. If you could read that back to me, it's going to be texted to your phone.
Okay. Um, okay. Uh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, great. All right. So it looks like so far you're checking out. Uh, so we'll just continue here. And excuse me. So you're with Navy Federal Credit Union.
Mhm.
Why don't you go ahead and grab check, and we can verify you can confirm that I have the correct routing number.
I'm not paying for anything yet. I still don't know how much it costs. You said you're going to tell me how much it costs after you check my health.
Correct. What I'm doing is waiting for them to respond back. That's what that code was for. And you actually will not pay for anything anyway until they approve you. If they give you immediate approval, then you would be covered from today if you agree with the terms, with the coverage and the cost of the insurance.
Which
Uh,
is what?
well, we're finding out right now as soon as they get back to me. Okay.
You saying you need my bank information to get a quote?
It's just, I'm just continuing with the application. I'm waiting for them to
What are we
respond
applying
with your
for?
medical insurance
What are we applying for?
for a $50,000 policy because
When did we
at
talk
your
about
age,
50,000?
because like I suggested earlier, we're
Okay,
going to
I'm
get you
gonna I'm gonna go
two
now.
whole
I'm gonna
life
go.
policies.
I hung up. I hung up.
Okay.
Cool. Hey, good job.
All right.
First of all, thanks for stepping up. You know what I mean? That was good. That
Sure.
was really good. There's a lot, some really good stuff to build off of, but obviously we got some things that we can, tweak a little bit to
Sure.
keep this guy on board. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So good stuff. So here's what I would say. I think you're using a different script than what we send out to our group, which is all good. You know what I mean? We'll all get to the same place. But just think, and what I want you to do, Stephen, is anytime you feel any sort of tension, for lack of a better word, timidness, awkwardness, whatever with the client, like you did a great job just like keeping things moving forward, right? But what you should always do is just kind of like make a little note of that and then think about later, what can I do to relieve that next time? So where was the first time where we had a little bit of tension? First thing was, why do you need the name of my kids? Okay. So what you should always think anytime there's something like that, well, what can I do to maybe get that information, make that be smoother and not make it there's something this guy didn't like about it, right?
Right.
Here's what I would recommend. I would get to giving your name and state license number faster. So it's kind of like I'm going to need information from you. But before I get information from you, I'm going to give information to you to make you feel more comfortable with giving me stuff. Does that make sense? So in the script that we're all
Makes sense.
using, hey, Stephen, it looks like you listed you were in the Army, your date of birth was, or your age is 72, correct? Perfect. So I'm the guy they assigned to help you out with your eligibility and approval stuff. Do me a favor, grab a pen and paper. I need you to write down my name and state license number so you know who you're speaking with. So that's like the first thing. So like before I ask them the only thing I've done is confirm information I've already have. Now I'm having them get my name and state license number. Like I'm giving you something first. Does that make sense? Here's my name and
Yeah.
state license number so you can feel comfortable. Now, because I'm about to hit you with some questions, I want you to feel comfortable giving that information to me, knowing that I'm licensed by the state to go over this with you. So you wrote down my name and state license number already, and then you just got a text that has a copy of my state license. So like double confirm I am who I say I am. Right. And even Marisa, I like what she talked about on the call on Friday. She even goes so far as like having them look them up in the database to
Yeah.
confirm their license. You know what I mean? So that's like,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
before, that's like super, super quick on the call. Does that make sense? So very
Yes.
early on.
100%. Yep.
Then we like in our script, it goes, all right, so you listed your beneficiaries, or you listed your kids as your beneficiaries. You're like what's your, what are their names? You know what I mean? So like I get into that after I've already given you some information. Right now, again, of course, some people will be just like super open and give it to you, but sometimes it can, if it feels too much like a survey early on, then
Uh,
that's when people are like, why do you need to know this? What does that have anything to do with the cost of the coverage? Right. And
true.
so
Yeah.
part of it is give them information first before you ask information, but also just pay attention to the way that you ask the questions as well, right? And make it seem more conversational. So when I got this request, if you're like everybody else, you had somebody in mind that you want to leave this coverage behind for. So for you, who would that be? That'd be my kids. Oh, nice. How many kids do you have? Two. Ah, two kids. Good for you. Any grandkids? Yeah, four grandkids. Got it. Okay, cool. Good for you. That's awesome. All right. So two kids, they'll be your beneficiaries. Real quick, what are their names? You know what I mean? I'm just making it, I'm not just like next. Like you asked me a question. If I was actually talking to you, Steven, and you told me you have two kids, I'd be like, oh, awesome. Do you have any
Mhm.
grandkids? You're 72, so you're kind of around that. Like, you have any grandkids? You know? Got it. Okay, cool. Do you live nearby? Just a little conversational about around the
Okay.
kids. And then it'd be much more likely that they're open to give you their names because It just feels like it's flowing as part of the conversation. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Um, I'm big on more closed-ended questions and giving them options for why they need this coverage to make it be more likely that I give you information on why I'm looking for this. So you asked me some pretty open-ended questions like you have 10,000, how much more are you looking for? Or what is your budget? Like you're giving me room to say some really dumb stuff. Like you were kind of against your heels, on your heels a little bit
Mhm.
because you asked such open-ended questions and then I came back with this wild response and you're like, "Oh dude, I don't know how to answer that. I don't know what to do to that. Like I got to reel this guy back in." The
Right.
way that you avoid that is by asking closed-ended questions that you or like whatever answer they say, because it's such a specific question, you already know
Hmm.
how to navigate the path that they're going to take you down. Does that make sense? So,
Yes.
were you looking into this coverage, Stephen? Because do you already have some in place and you were looking to add some more to that, or do you not have anything set up yet? Which you asked me, right? And I said, I already have some in coverage in place. Got it. Okay. So I assume you're just looking to supplement or add some more to that, right? Yes. Perfect. I would leave that there. I wouldn't go too deep into the insurance stuff now. We're going to collect that later in the financial inventory because we can
Okay.
get in the weeds on like the type of insurance they have and how much they're paying and all this stuff. And it could be
Right.
completely irrelevant. Dude, I don't care. I got this insurance 78 years ago. I don't even care. I just want some more insurance. Why are you asking me all these questions? You know what I mean? So like
That
we
makes
don't
sense.
want to
Yeah.
get too deep in the like just be very assumptive. If they have insurance, they're looking to add more. Got it. Okay, cool. This early in the script, that's all the information I need. And now we're moving on. Like I'm just these are just like I don't know, just I'm kind of get seeing where this guy is at. I'm not trying to collect every single thing right here. I'm just trying to say, are you working with me? Are we on the same page? Are we on the same page? Are we on the same page? Does that make sense?
Yep.
We're still so early in the script. Got it.
Yep.
So you got some life insurance. You're going to add some more. Perfect. Now, in terms of what you were looking to accomplish with any additional coverage, was your main concern just making sure you cover like the final expenses? Or was there anything else on top of that, like replacing lost income or covering a gift or something like that? Very specific, right? Mainly my final expenses. Got it. Okay, makes sense. Um, have you ever had anybody like in your life past, right, where you've been involved with final expenses, kind of seeing what it takes, like kind of get them talking about that. Um, but like you when you ask super open-ended questions early on like that, like how much are you looking for? You gave me a open, a wide open layup to say something stupid like 100,000. Like you in your head, you're like,
Right.
you can't qualify for 100,000,
Right.
but you made it so easy for me to say that because you asked me how much coverage I'm looking
Yeah.
for.
Right. I
Does that
get
make
that. Yeah.
sense?
Yeah.
So more
Absolutely.
closed-ended stuff, it reduces the likelihood that they say some things that is hard for you to come back from. Because
Sure.
then you were on your heels like, well, you're 72, that's going to be tough. Like, did you have like a big budget for it? Like all these things
Yeah.
that are like making
Yeah.
it seem like, oh, this is going to
It was
be
awkward.
difficult or he can't help me with what I'm
Yeah.
looking for. You see
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yep.
Now, if you ask them, okay, you got some in place, you're looking to add more, your main goal is your final expenses. I'm just more assumptive of like, okay, I see that he's 72. I want to keep this guy, within being realistic. Okay, Steven, so you have 10,000. Sounds like you just want to make sure like you know that may not be enough to cover all your final expenses, so you just want to leave a little bit more to help your kids out, make sure they're not stuck with that. Does that sound about right? Yep. All
Yeah.
right, cool. High level stuff, right? High level information, not super detailed. Have insurance, looking to add more, covering final expenses. Kids are my beneficiaries. Like that in this part of the script, that's all I'm really looking for to just paint the outline. Like if we're painting a picture, I just painted the outline of what we're doing here. I still haven't given him a ton about who I am yet though, right?
Right.
So
Right.
now that I have the outline, I go, all right, Steven, thanks for letting me know that. I see why you're looking for this. I'm glad I can be the one to help. Here's what we're going to do. I'm a broker. I have access to every company out there. They all are priced the same and do the same thing. They just have different things they accept in terms of your health. So, like, In our script, it has structure, which basically outlines here's what we're going to do. We're going to ask health questions. I'm going to ask budget questions. We're going to design your plan. And then once we know how much coverage you need, I'm going to start shopping around, find the insurance company that you best qualify for that'll give you the lowest rate. Once we know that and we start looking at numbers, that's when I'll ask for some feedback from you. And if we need to make any adjustments up or down, find the plan that you feel best fits your budget. Assuming we're on the same page, that's when we'll submit an application into the insurance company to help see if we're approved, right? So you kind of like jumped right into the health questions and stuff, which you did a great job with the health questions. You nailed everything there, but you didn't really like set it up or let me know that we're
Right.
going to do that, right?
Mhm.
And then after the health questions, I get where your head was going and like, all right, like I want to see if this guy can even qualify before we look at, numbers. But I would still what I call build the plan or design the plan or find the value. Like if you think about it, we've only kind of gotten surface level with the need here, right? Now we need to dig a little bit deeper and find out what we're going to do, how much coverage you're even going to look at, right? Okay, so you got 10,000, but you need some more. So in terms of what you were looking to accomplish with any additional coverage, just so I know like how much coverage we can look at, like do you know whether you'd want to be buried or cremated? Yep, I want to be buried. Got it. Okay. Like have you ever dealt with that? Have you ever seen like firsthand how much it costs to bury somebody, kind of what that takes? I might say, yeah, I buried my cousin. It was 20,000. Got it. You only have 10. So you're thinking in your head, you need at least 10 more. You know what I mean? So now we're kind of like finding what this guy needs and you go, got it. So it sounds like based on your situation, you need about 10,000 more, but we can look at, also like a 15 and a 20 in case you just want to have some extra money to leave behind for the kids and the grandkids, right? Got it. Okay, cool. So like now I kind of know what we're doing. That's the time when I go, all right, so again, we're going to look at 10, 15, and 20,000 coverage. It'll be permanent. Price won't change. Coverage won't change. Everything will always stay the same. It'll pay out right away when you die. But before I look at numbers, like I need to find a company that you're most likely to get approved with. So I'm basically just going to like start an application to see if they give us the green light. And if so, then we'll look at numbers. But we don't want to get too deep in the weeds on looking at numbers for something we're not even going to get approved for. So it's going to ask you for like your name, your address, and your social to check a medical database. And then if they come back and give us the green light, then we know we're good. And then that's when we'll look at options and find the size plan that fits your budget. Does that make sense? So just like
Yeah.
give me a little bit more about what we're doing before we just get straight to like, all right, what's your social? That's what I was kind of pushing back on you on. Like, what are we doing
Yep.
here? You know
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, for sure.
So, um,
Very
yeah,
helpful.
that's really it. I would just kind of, I would look at your presentation and I'll go, all right, like structure and designing the plan, I think are the two like big chunks of the presentation that we missed. And so what can I do to kind of set up what we're going to do on this phone call a little bit better? And then what can I do to ask some questions and build a plan with the client, like find the need and design how much coverage we're going to look at. So before we start, getting a pre-approval or showing numbers, they know the value that I'm bringing them and they know what we're about to be applying for. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Thank
Good
you.
job. Well, I
Cool.
appreciate you stepping up. That was good stuff. Zach, I don't know if you have anything that I missed that you heard.
Now, you pretty much hit it on the head. I was just going to say something similar to you with the structure. Just following a little bit better structure and explaining it is what we're going to do and the reasons why we're going to do it. Because I'm not going to lie, when you said, okay, what's your social? And you just kind of jumped into it there. It was kind of like, whoa, you know what I mean? I think
Yeah.
anybody would have kind of got taken aback by that.
And that's not
You
even how
know,
I usually do it, but
uh,
I've never done it in front of people. So,
right.
yeah, it was a trip.
So that happens. Other than that, yeah, that's all I really have to say. For me, it was just the structure and then explaining why you're doing it a certain way. Then don't get ahead of yourself when you're in the application, when you're waiting for that little green box to come up. That's probably
Right.
a good time to start to asking people if they have a will, a estate, or a trust. Like get off of the of the application part while that's
Okay.
buffering until you get that decision back. You don't need to fill in the beneficiary, start asking for banking information first. And then when it does pop up, then you'd be like, okay, so here's what we're going to look at today. And then go just directly into showing numbers because you already kind of have that green check or you got Eagle Select 2. So you can go ahead and just quote off of that. So just
Okay.
talk about legacy safeguard, make small talk, and then wait for that thing to pop up. And then you can kind of go right into numbers and explaining what each one of them is going to do.
Okay. Thank you.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Anybody else want to go?
I'll go.
Let's go. All right. Good job, Kylie. Let's do it.
Okay.
All right.
Hit 'em.
All right. Same thing. I'm a veteran lead.
Okay.
I'm 72. You obviously got my name and phone number and email and everything. So
Okay.
that's what we got for the lead. All right. Cool. All right. Ring ring. Hello.
Hey, Bryce.
Yeah.
Hey, Bryce, this is Kylie here at the benefits office. I'm getting back to you about the request you submitted for the veterans life insurance quotes. You listed your date of birth as 3/31/2000. Is that correct?
It is.
Okay, perfect. Like I said, my name is Kylie. I'm the head underwriter here. I work with veterans 7 days out the week, and I was assigned to handle your eligibility and approval. Do me a quick favor, just grab a pen and a piece of paper so you can write down my full name and state license number.
Okay. Yeah, I got that.
All right, perfect. All right, so we're speaking on your cell phone, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
All right, so I'm gonna send you a picture of my state license and my digital business card, and you just let me know when you receive that, all right?
Okay. Yeah, I got it.
All right, perfect. So Bryce, I received your request for life insurance, and typically when I get this request, my clients have someone in mind they want to leave money to. Who would that be for you?
My daughter,
Your daughter? Okay, what's your daughter's name?
Erica.
Erica. She's your only daughter, or you have more kids?
She's my only daughter. Yeah, my
She's
only
your only
my only
daughter.
child.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Have any grandkids or just the
Yeah,
daughter?
she has one son, so I got one grandkid.
Nice, nice, nice. Okay. So were you looking into life insurance because you already have some in place and you want to add a little bit more, or do you not have anything set up at all yet?
I do have one of a small policy.
You have a small policy? Okay. So I'm assuming you were just looking to add on to that?
Right.
Okay, perfect. All right. So in terms of what you were looking to accomplish with the coverage, since you do already have a small policy, were you looking to add on to that to cover your funeral and final expenses, or did you also want to leave your daughter Erica some money behind?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say mainly my final expenses. If there's extra money for a gift, that's great. But yeah, mainly my funeral.
Okay. And have you buried anyone or handled any funeral expenses recently?
Yeah, I mean, I had a friend die. He was a veteran as well, so I'm pretty sure, the VA helped out with most of it. But yeah, I had a friend die a few months ago.
A few months ago. And do you have any idea how much, maybe his family paid for that funeral?
I don't. I
You
don't. I
don't?
know. I know that there was something or some small expense with it, but I don't know exactly what it was.
Okay. All right. So this is pretty straightforward. You have a small policy in place, but you're looking to add on to that to cover your funeral and final expenses. And then if there's enough left, you want to be able to leave your daughter Erica some money behind as a gift. Is that right?
Right. Yeah.
All right, perfect. All right, so Bryce, my job is super easy. I'm the underwriter for about 35 to 40 different insurance companies. What we're going to do today, we're just going to run through a suitability sheet. I'm going to ask you about your health, your income, and your budget, and get a little bit more specific about what you're looking to accomplish with the coverage. And then we'll just shop around to see who will give you the most insurance for the lowest monthly cost, okay?
Okay.
All right, so I do want to let you know, Bryce, that all insurance is state regulated. So what that means to you is they only vary about $2 to $5 per company, but they do have different things they accept in terms of your age, your health, and any medications you may be taking. So that's where I'm useful to you because I'll basically handpick, 1 to 3 different companies that best fits you, saving you a lot of time and energy from having to do that on your own. And then after we find the company, you'll get to customize your plan that best fits your budget, okay?
Okay.
All right, and then from there, I'll just send your request to the insurance company as a full application and make sure you get the green light and get approved. Sounds easy enough?
It does. Yeah.
All right, awesome. So, Bryce, if we do get that far, the insurance company is going to ask you for all the same stuff on the application that they would say if you went into a car dealership to buy a car. So, they're going to need, your full name, your driver's license, date of birth, your social security, and then whatever bank you're going to use to pay for the insurance. We don't need the information right now, but if we do submit an application, I want to make sure you have access to all that information. So, is there any reason why you wouldn't have access to any of those things?
No, no. I mean, yeah, like you said, I want to know like what it looks like first, but I understand that they would need that for an application.
Yeah, of course. Okay, I'm gonna get that to you. All right. So now what we're gonna do, we're just gonna go through the suitability sheet. I'm just gonna ask you about your health and your budget, okay?
Okay.
And so Bryce, I have listed here you are 30 years old, is that correct?
Let's say I'm 72 for this.
Oh, it's just 72, okay.
Yep, that's right.
Okay.
72.
All right. And then Bryce, are you a smoker?
No, non-smoker.
No. Okay, great. And then you have your beneficiary, your daughter Erica, I'm sorry about that. And then now we're just going to go through any medical conditions that you've may experience. So have you ever experienced any heart attack, stroke, congestive heart failure?
Yeah, I have had a stroke.
Okay, when was that stroke that you had?
Probably 7 or 8 years ago or so.
All right, no worries. And then did they give you any medications for that stroke?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Starts with an L. It's like Losartan or
Losartan?
something. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So you had that about 7 or 8 years ago.
hmm
Okay, noted. Any pacemakers, angina, stents in your heart?
No, nothing with my heart.
Okay, perfect. Any high blood pressure, diabetes, neuropathy, cancer, lupus, or arthritis?
Some of those.
Some of those, which one? High blood pressure, diabetes?
Right.
Which one?
High blood pressure and diabetes.
Okay, both of those. All right. So, what are you taking for both of those, the high blood pressure and diabetes?
There's for the blood pressure, there's like the Losartan, and then there's another one. It starts with like an A.
An A. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have your medications with you right now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, just go ahead and grab them for me really fast. The insurance company is going to need the names of those medications, okay?
Okay, I got it here. So I have it's called amlodipine.
Okay. And
So
that's for the high
amlodipine. I'm sorry.
and that's for the high blood pressure?
Yeah, that's for the blood pressure.
Okay.
And then for the diabetes, it's metformin.
Metformin, okay.
Yeah.
And are you taking any insulin or just the metformin?
Just the metformin.
Okay. And then for your high blood pressure and diabetes, when were you diagnosed with that?
Um, about 10 years ago or so.
For both?
Yeah, I think the blood pressure a little before, maybe about 15 years ago, and then
Okay.
diabetes about 10 years ago.
All right. And with your diabetes, have you experienced any neuropathy?
No, no neuropathy.
Okay, awesome. And then you said no asthma or arthritis.
No, not arthritis. No, I got some like pain in my back and knees
Okay.
and stuff, but
Okay. But has your doctor diagnosed you with arthritis or give you any medication for that?
no, I do take some pain meds, but it's not for arthritis.
Okay. And what are those pain meds?
Oxycodone?
Okay. All right. So have you experienced any thyroid issues, anxiety, depression, dementia, or Alzheimer's?
Yeah, I mean some PTSD.
PTSD? Are you taking anything for that?
Yes.
Okay. And what are you taking for that?
Putting me on the spot, Kaylee. PTSD meds. Let's see. I'll
Say a Zanny.
what is Xanax? Yeah, Zoloft. I'm taking Zoloft.
Zoloft. Okay. All right. Zoloft. And then when were you prescribed that?
When I first got out of the military, so it was probably like 20 years ago.
20 years ago. All right. And then any kidney, liver disease, or HIV or AIDS?
No.
No. Okay. So you're only taking medication for the stroke, the high blood pressure and diabetes, and then for the PTSD. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Perfect. Now I'm just going to ask you about your income and your budget. Bryce, just give me a ballpark. Approximately how much money are you bringing in every month?
It's about 3,200.
$3,200. Okay. 3,200. And then with your monthly expenses, gas, groceries, utilities, those things of sorts, how much money do you say you have going out every month?
Feels like all of it. I don't know, probably 2,500, 2,600 or so.
Okay. 2,500, 2,600. Okay, okay, okay. All right. And then that's everything included. So
Yeah, I
you
think it's somewhere.
Okay,
somewhere.
so you have approximately about $600, give or take, that you save each month after your bills.
Yeah, I don't know. Save might be a little aggressive, but
That's left over, yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
I think it's somewhere around there.
okay, no worries. All right, so what we're gonna do now, I'm just gonna run the application and see what you could get approved for. And then what is your middle initial, Bryce?
B.
B, okay. And then what, were you born in California?
Yes, I was. Yep.
Born and raised? Okay, perfect. And then what is your height and your weight?
6'1", 190.
Okay. And then email, phone, confirm. And then just so that they can run your medical history, Bryce, can you go ahead and confirm your social for me?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Okay, perfect. All right. And they are going to send you a confirmation text to run your HIPAA forms. And you just read that code back to me.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
All right, perfect. And then fill out the information for your previous policy. I'll put in your beneficiary. All right, Bryce, I have some numbers for you. But first, the company I ran you through was Americo. So they're an A-rated company. They've been around for over 100 years. So you will be getting a whole life policy, and what that means is it will never expire until age 120. I don't know about you, but I don't know anyone that lived that long. But your premiums will never increase in price, and then your death benefit will never decrease. Okay, so for $20,000, you are looking at a premium of $160. For $30,000, you're looking at a premium of $200. And then for $30,000, you're looking at a premium of only $280. Okay, so which one of those would best fit your budget? It won't be, tight for you, or it wouldn't hurt your bank account to come out each month and you feel comfortable paying.
Um, what'd you say the first one was?
The 20,000, it would be only $160 a month.
Is there a way you can send this all to me?
So Bryce, unfortunately, the insurance company, they can't give you anything. We don't have any information to give you right now because you haven't been approved yet. So once you are approved, then they will send you the information, and then you will have a 30-day free look period to go over your policies to make sure everything is in place. If you want to increase or decrease, you can always do that. But for right now, we just have to see if you get approved.
Yeah, I mean, I just think I need to find out like how much more my daughter would need and everything before I just, get a plan. It's not that I couldn't afford those or anything. I just want to make sure that, I'm leaving the right amount of coverage for her.
Yeah. Yeah, so Bryce, no worries. Like I said, you have that free look 30-day period. So if you want to increase your coverage, you can always do that. But I think it is important that you go ahead and get this coverage in place for your daughter. God forbid anything were to happen to you tonight. That small policy that you have right now, I think you said, was it $10,000 that you have?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't, be enough to cover all your expenses. So if we go ahead and add that 20,000 right now, this policy is immediate coverage. And, if you were to pass away, she would get that 20,000 on top of the 10,000 that you already have. And then if you want to go back and add more coverage, you can do that as well.
Cool. We're gonna cut it there.
Okay.
Really good job. Like
Okay.
very, very smooth, very conversational. Like it's clear why you're selling some insurance. So great job. That was solid.
Like, thanks.
Let's like take a step back, right? Just think. What did we miss?
Probably the why, or digging deeper into that. That's what I struggle with the most because I'll run appointments, get all the way to, and they'll say like the same thing you're saying, and it's like nothing.
Okay, so cool. I'm glad. This is good then. This is very relevant.
Yeah.
What am I buying? You gave me numbers. Like now the cool thing about leads is that will work. Like people will buy insurance just because you're like, all right, got your health. I say what you can, see what you can qualify for. Let me throw something at the wall and see what sticks. You know what I mean? In terms of, let me just give you some numbers and hope they pick one. And sometimes people will pick one. You know what I mean? You could probably sell 20,000 a month by running enough presentations where you don't dig deep into the why. You don't, you don't assign anything to the coverage. We just like start throwing numbers out there and people will pick plans because they filled out forms for insurance and they need it.
Right.
But what's that next level of like getting people to commit to you versus anybody else that's calling them, that's just calling them to give them numbers and hope they pick one? What's the difference? How do you set yourself apart? How do you bring so much value to them that they wouldn't even consider saying, I need to think about it or going elsewhere? Like what's the core of what we're doing here? Why are we asking these health and budget questions? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we can find the company that qualify, yes. But then what are we going to do once we know, okay, I know in my head what company we can look at. That's great. Cool. That helps. That helps reduce how many times we need to pivot or anything like that. But what value am I bringing to Bryce, the client?
Yeah.
That's the building the plan. That's the part we skipped, right? And again, keep it very simple for yourself, Kaylee. Just if you maybe just write up on your computer, on your wall or something, just ask, how do you transition from, okay, you do great job with intro, right? Great job with finding and building the why. Like again, this is a high level why. Solid. Structure, solid. Financial inventory, solid. Health questions, budget questions, boom, on point, right? But what's that? There's this step before showing options, and that is the building the need plan, building the need, right? Digging deep into the why, building the plan. So how do we transition from you finish your financial inventory with budget questions, right? How do we transition from budget questions to designing their plan before we get into showing numbers and finding what they qualify for? So Kelly, do you know, to get more specific with how much coverage we need to look at, do you know whether you want to be buried or cremated?
Okay.
If you just throw that in, that will open up the conversation of how much coverage we need to look at. Because if I say buried, okay, let's go back, all right? Let's put ourselves back in role play mode. Let's say, okay, let's give me that question, right? You just finished asking me budget questions and then ask me whether I want to be buried and cremated. And let's see where it goes from there. Cool?
Okay.
All right, so go ahead.
All right. So Bryce, do you have an idea whether you want to be buried or cremated?
Buried.
Buried. Okay. And have you ever buried anyone recently? Any loved ones or family members?
Yeah, I mean, I had a good buddy of mine that, I was the pallbearer. So, yeah, I was kind of involved with helping out his family, get that all taken care of.
So do you have any idea how much, his burial cost or how much it would run you since you want to be buried?
Yeah, I mean, I know it was like at least like 15,000 or something. He was a veteran, so the VA helped out a little bit. But I think it was about 15,000 for everything.
15,000. Okay. So for you, you're looking, of course, you're going to need at least $15,000 worth of coverage to add on to what you already have. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, again, I want to leave as much behind as I can for my daughter, based just depending on what fits my budget, but something like that.
Okay. So at least $15,000 worth of coverage, and then, whatever fits your budget, you want to add on to, you want to leave to your daughter. All right. I have a question about that. So
Okay.
in terms of where I should ask about budget, or should I just stay away from
Stay away from
budget?
budget. We don't like, we need to build the need, right? So even if you do that, like even though you didn't really know where to go, just by asking those two questions, it at least like brings up the conversation of assigning a Zach, am I putting this the right way? I'm trying to think like, am I assigning a value to like when you show me numbers, think of like, okay, 20,000 of coverage. But what is this 20,000 doing for my daughter?
Right. Yeah, you're saying it right, Kai. We kind of talked about that. So when you presented your numbers, you just gave the numbers, and I just think the next level for you is exploring that why even some more. Bryce kind of gave you an alley oop at the end when he said I just don't know if that's going to be enough for my daughter, right? Or I got to talk it over with her. So that's what your discovery needed to be. So even again when he just asked you about for my funeral arrangements, I have 15. I just want to make sure it's enough for my daughter. Okay, great. We could definitely help you with that. Now, does your daughter currently live in California? She lives out of state. Okay, so I'm assuming obviously if anything happened to you, she would have to come to California, but she's still responsible for her bills, correct? Yeah, and okay, and roughly, does she have any kids? And then you just start asking. You want to figure out, does the daughter work? Is she able to take off time? Because when you present your numbers, now when you go back to presenting your numbers, you're going to say 20,000. Okay, you already have 10 in the previous policy you have. You're going to take an extra 5 out of that policy of the new policy. That's going to go towards your burial, which is going to leave your daughter $10,000. So she's not going to have to worry about how she's going to get to California, how she's going to pay her bills for the next 2 months while she's taking care of everything that's going on with you. And it's just going to be able to give her the peace of mind to be able to grieve the loss of her father and not worry about how she's going to make her pay her bills for the next month. That's what 20,000 is going to help you with, and that's only going to and don't forget to say that only going to be 149 a month.
Okay.
That's it
Yeah,
right there.
that's
We call it spending the insurance. Like spend the insurance. How is the insurance going to be spent? When
okay.
you
Yeah.
go, when you just give me $20,000, I look at the price. I go, oh, how is that price? But when you go, you got 10, you just had a buddy that died and they needed 15. So you bare minimum need 5. Like you should know in your head, like if I completely mess this up, I'm at least selling this guy a $5,000 policy. Like bare minimum, he has to have an additional 5,000, or else his daughter's coming out of pocket 5,000, right? So you need at least 5,000 more. But like Zach said, where does your daughter live? She's in Texas. Got it. What does she do for work? She is a nurse. Got it. Okay. So sounds like she would have to, like, it's fair to say she would need to take, God forbid something happened to you anytime soon. She'd have to take some time off, fly out here. And this is again where it's good to ask, do you rent or own? Like either way, they would have to deal with something. So like you own a house. Fair to say she'd need to, what would she do with the house? She'd probably sell it. Got it. So she probably need to like clean it out, put it on the market. Like start think about what's going to happen with this. What is Erica going to need to do when you die? That makes it so much more obvious. Like, oh shoot, dude, like fly, take time off work, put stuff in storage, have a garage sale, go to the real estate office, or put this mortgage in her name. Like, boom, 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 like all these things that Erica is going to need to deal with when I die. Now I'm like, shit, can I afford 50,000? You know what I mean? Like that's where, when you see people writing big premiums, that's wise, because they're spending the insurance, right? They're assigning value to these numbers. So by the time you look at numbers, you can then go, all right, so here's what we're going to do. Just like Zach said, we're going to look at a $20,000 plan. Minimally 5,000 of it is going towards your burial. But given you're only 72, like we don't know, but things only get more expensive. So if you die 10, 15 years from now, it probably is going to cost more than 15,000, right? So we may need an additional 10,000 for the burial. Giving her reimbursement for taking time off work, flying out here, giving her some cash to handle your mortgage payments for a couple months, and putting stuff in storage, putting stuff in a garage sale. So for all that, that's what this additional 20,000 is doing for Erica. That makes sense, Kaylee? All right. So
Yeah.
that's only going to be 180 a month. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I don't do that, and that's why like I be dropping the ball a lot, and I'll be like, what is going on? I'm just like I'm trying to figure out why it's not, I'm not getting these policies like I need to, and I know it's the why, but it's like I don't. This is really helping. Like this is pinpointing why, because like when I show my numbers, that's exactly what I do on the phone. Just give them the
And
numbers.
people buy, like you're going to sell how much this month because you have an
Yeah.
insurance license. People filled out forms for insurance and they know that they need it. And not everybody needs this level of, you know, really building value behind buying something. But most people will. Like if you just start implementing that, you'll go from, I don't know, what you can sell 10, 15,000 this month to writing 50,000 a month. You know what I mean? Just because like so
Yeah.
many more people will be like, oh wow, like yes, that's what I need it for. And also your business will stick too. Like if
Okay.
I came behind you and I talked to some of your clients and like really dug deep and be like, man, Kaylee only helped you with an $8,000 policy. Have you guys considered this, this, and this? Like, what's your daughter gonna do here? Oh my God, like I need 30. Cool. Hey, like, not that that was a bad plan, but that's not going to be enough. So let's swap that one out for this new $30,000 one. And that's when your business starts falling off the books because you didn't bring as much value as the other agent, you know what I mean, that did. And so
Yeah.
the way that I approach my clients is like I'm their guy for life. There's nobody that's going to come behind me and bring more value to them than me. And if somebody doesn't, it's my fault. Does that make sense? Because I ask questions, we spend the insurance, we define value to it, and then I let them know that this is like I'm your guy for life. You know what I mean? And so they feel like you really helped them with something versus just sold them something. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
It also works the other way too with the process of elimination. So when you're taking that inventory, and somebody may think they need more than what they actually need, it shows that you're not just money hungry and you're not trying to have a higher premium. So your clients respect you and they like you for, being honest with them,
Yeah.
So I've heard that before too, that you don't need that. You actually don't need 30, There was this
Totally.
guy.
Like in Steven's
right.
case, when I said I want 100,000, you can be like, all right, like I hear you, but like, what is your daughter gonna need tomorrow when you die? You got a $1,200 mortgage or $1,000 a month mortgage, so you need 12,000 to give her about a year's worth of payments. You need an additional 5,000, so you really only need like 20,000. Now, Kaylee, you've been doing this long enough. Would you be mad at? First of all, obviously you bring insane value to the client, but would you be mad at your commission for a $20,000 policy to a 72-year-old?
No.
You know what I mean? And so like we're like downplaying it, but it's still win-win-win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like they say, oh, okay, yeah. So like, look, if you want 100,000, you can, but I'm just big on like, let's get you something that first of all, let's cover the immediate needs as it stands today. So you at least have that. And then if down the road, if your budget increases and you want to tack on a bunch of extra coverage just because, you want to use this as a way to like leave a tax-free gift for your family, by all means, I'm going to be here to help you. Like I'll tell people all the time, like, look, if you want 100,000, I could totally help you with it. I get paid on commission. Like I'm good. Like I will. But the most important part of my job is making sure your daughter gets a check. And if we set up 20,000 and that means you can sustain that policy long term within your budget, that's way more important than you getting this big old plan and then can't afford it down the line. Does that make sense? So that's where we're going to start here. Like I'm just here to cover your needs and then you just let me know later if you want to tack on all the extra stuff. And
That's what happened with me earlier. I had somebody who all he wanted was a cremation, and he had a mutual Omaha policy for like 25,000, and he said it was hurting his pockets every month. And I told him, realistically, you're 77, you only need about 5 to 7 for your cremation, and 77,
Yeah.
and we reduced it to a $10,000 policy,
Boom.
saving like $70 a month. And when you're on a fixed income and Social Security, that 77 gonna go a long way.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, and again, when you posture yourself as I'm just covering, when you find the need and you just say, here, we're gonna find out what you need and cover that, and use the word need a lot. they see so much more value behind it, and you stop getting the BS at the end because they're thinking more about assigning the money to their family than they are thinking about the price they're paying for that. Does that make sense? That's the ultimate goal. But hey, I just want to say, Stephen, Kylie, thank you so much for stepping up. I hope you guys got a lot out of it, helped everybody else out as well. We'll get this recording out. And what's today's Tuesday? So no new agent training tomorrow, but obviously live Zoom dials are up and running. So feel free to tune in. There's a product training tomorrow, and then we'll be back on this training on Thursday.
When you say
got
you get
anything.
these recordings out, Bryce, excuse me for interrupting. Where do they go? do you
I
get 'em?
posted on my YouTube channel. We posted in our Slack, but if you find me on YouTube under Bryce Evans, you can find all of our training recordings.
Make sure
Okay,
you
thank you.
subscribe. Let's get Bryce that
Drop
platinum.
And it's just Bryce Evans at
Bryce
YouTube,
Evans,
is
yep.
that? Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks
All
for
right, you
letting me
guys, we'll
role
see you
play,
soon.
man. I appreciated that.
Absolutely. Good job.